In this video, I'm talking about the HLOOKUP function. So let's get started. Now, before we get into the function, let's look at the data set. What I want you to see right away is that each record makes up a column. And so as we add a record, we add a column to our data set. And this is just going to continue to grow to the right. It's not going to grow downward or vertically. It's going to grow to the right horizontally. And so this is one reason why we're using the HLOOKUP, because this lines up all of our different categories. So like our ID, our first name, our last name, they all get their own row. And so the HLOOKUP function is going to search across the row until it finds our search key. If it's able to find our search key, then it's going to search down that column and it's going to return whatever index, the cell value of the index that we give it. So I've added these indices here for reference. They're not necessary for a data set. Neither is actually this header column. These are both optional. And so I'm using them in this video just as a reference and to help us see what the HLOOKUP function is actually doing. But let me go ahead and jump into the function itself. So we're going to look for an ID, and all of our IDs are integers. And so I'm just going to create a search key here of 10 to go with our first ID that we have in our record set. And we're going to type in the equals and go ahead and type in the name of our function. And I'm going to open up the formula help. And this shows us what parameters we can use with the HLOOKUP function. Now, the first three parameters are required, and the fourth parameter is optional, and that's what these braces mean, the brackets mean right here. So our first parameter is a search key. I'm going to use the cell reference B2 for our search key, and I'm going to go ahead and make it absolute by typing F4. And then we're going to move on to our range. So the range is the data set that we're wanting to search. So I want to grab the entire data set that I have here and actually go as far as I can. And this will allow me to search even as my data set grows. So when record 21 comes in and 22 and 23, it'll be available in our search. All right, so now that we've given it a range, so I want to come back and make the range absolute by clicking F4. But our range has a beginning cell and an end cell, and then it covers everything in between those. And so we're going to start at E2. So what this is telling the HLOOKUP function is saying to search row number 2, starting with column E, and it's going to search through column Z, row 2, for our search key. Now, if it finds what we're looking for, then it's going to search down the column and to the index that we give it. So what index do we want to start with? Well, our indices are right here for the range that I've given it. And I'm looking for an ID. So the ID index is number 1. So I'm going to type in number 1. And now we're to our optional is sorted. Now the ID records are sorted. So they're in number order, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. So they're in ascending order. So I could put true here. What this actually means, though, is now the formula help only says that if it's sorted or not. What it's actually asking is if we want an exact match. So if I put true here, and again, it is sorted, so putting true is not going to affect the search except for by one way. So it actually did find number 10. If I were to put in 11, it would find 11 because 11's right there. If I were to put in 15, it would find that as well because it's right there. But what happens if I put in 21? There is no 21. this may be a little surprising, it actually returns 20. So because I told it that it is sorted, that the row is sorted, it's searching in order. And when it looks for 21 and can't find 21 where it should be, which is right here after 20, it actually backs up to the last record that it found and it returns 20. So that means any number I give it above 20, it's going to return 20. Now, in some instances, that may be exactly what you want. You might want it to return that last record. Since this is a contact and I'm looking for a specific person or a specific ID, I don't want it to return something else. So I'm going to go back to that optional value and I'm going to make is true false, or is sorted rather false. And so now all I'm actually telling it doesn't matter that it's sorted or not sorted. It's still going to search for that row, search key in that row. But now if it can't find it, it's just going to tell me that it can't find it. And so that's what this error message says. Did not find value 210 in HLOOKUP function. So let me give it a ID that it will find. And so there, it found 10, it returned 10. Now, of course, this is what the HLOOKUP function does, but it's not very exciting if all you're doing is returning the actual search key that you gave it. So what we want to do is copy this down and notice that all of these are the same. And that's because I made the search key absolute and I made our range absolute. So it's continuing to look for 10. Every one of these functions are looking for 10 and every one of them are returning it. So they're all identical. But what we need to do is keep our range, keep our search key, keep our is sorted option to false. We just need to come in and change the index of which row we're wanting to return. So it's finding our column, which is column E, and it's searching index 1 and returning it. So now I want to return a first name, so I'm going to change this one to a 2. I'm going to change the last name, which is in index 3, street address, and I'm just going to continue changing. All right, so let's look at that and see what it looks like. All right, so now all of these functions have different indexes and they're looking for the right information. And so it's searching, our search key is searching through this row 2. It finds the search key of 10 in column E, and then it goes down to the index that we give it and returns that value. So now as I change this search key, it's going to change what it returns. So that's how the HLOOKUP function works.